back to the new session on professional ethics that is basically helping us to become better professionals. In this particular lecture, in this particular session, we are basically going to focus on exploring the role of ethics in different domains. Ethics is something which is irreplaceable and it plays a very, very important role when it comes to different domains. And in today's world, ethics plays a critical role in several domains across different fields such as research, medicine, engineering, entrepreneurship, psychology, journalism, management, law, humanities. So in this particular or basically session, we are focusing that how it is basically going to affect the role of different domains. Now, ethics in research. As a researcher, there are certain things which needs to be followed, and it is very, very imperative for researchers to ensure that they are following the code of ethics in the field of research. Ethical research practices ensure that participants are not exploited, their privacy is protected, and the data is accurately reported. Means you have to ensure that because you're doing or you're trying to find something new things, but certain ethical standards needs to be maintained over there as well. Important ethical consideration when it comes to research is basically includes obtaining informed consent. That means if you are taking the information, you have seen also in research papers, we are giving references from where we have picked those particular sentences, phrases, or maybe those paragraphs. In minimizing the risk and ensuring that the researcher is not biased. It is based on thorough research, and basically a lot of literature review is basically done before that. Examples of unethical research is basically include studies involving deception, abuse, or any research that result in the breach of participants' confidentiality. In case of case studies also you find that we have to take the consent before we get it published, even though everything has been taken, but still we need the consent from the firm itself, that whether we can use their name or we can, if they are not agreeing, then we have to use the XYZ, because that is totally, the consent has to be given by the person who is basically being represented in that case. Medicine, the most important profession in the world. Doctor-patient relationship. Medical ethics mandates that doctors prioritize their patients' health over personal interests. They must respect patients' autonomy, provide informed choices, and respect patients' confidentiality. Now, this is a one-on-one that a doctor who is basically someone who is regarded as one of the most noble profession of the world has to maintain, and it is the mandates in the medical ethics that you have to take the consent, the interest, as well as give respect and privacy to the confidentiality that needs to be maintained in every patient. Medical research ethics in this, uh, it should basically see or guarantee safety of animals subject through informed consent. It should also ensure true representation of all clinical trials, confidentiality, and possibility of withdrawing. In healthcare delivery, the delivery of healthcare should prioritize respect for the patient the way you would like to be treated as a patient. It should maintain true communication and patient's autonomy. Very, very essential, and that is why it becomes imperative for doctors to follow these. Engineering, another important aspects of our lives. So in this, the health and safety, equal opportunity, and sustainabilities are the areas that people need to ensure who are professing a career in the engineering field. The primary ethical consideration in engineering is to ensure the safety of people and environment before, during, and even after the project is complete. Engineers test their creations as and be able to justify its quantity after submission. So you have to be very, very particular about these very important aspects which deals with health and safety. Equal opportunities, that engineers should ensure equal opportunity to employment to individual regardless of their nationality, sex, age, caste, religion, background, etc. And finally, sustainability, that engineers should consider the long-term sustainability of their solutions in the environment in order to create or not compromise on future generations' expectations and their importance. Ethics in science. Now, science can be data science, it can be animal related, or it can be related to prevention. So, all these things have to be very, very taken into consideration when you are, and specifically in data sciences, ensuring the scientific conclusions are based on reliable data. They should ensure accuracy, honesty, and fairness while presenting and finding. So, whenever you are basically telling something which has data, it has to be more accurate, fair, and honest. It should harm prevention if the experiment procedure may cause harm, destruct the aim of research. The study partly must be processed and seek ways to lessen harm or conduct alternative research. You have to always find a better way or alternative if such that harm is going to be created. And animal rights, protection of human animal being used for experimentation. Scientific must finalize the absolute necessity of their use and study their welfare, treatment, and care of the animal they are basically treating. Then we have ethics and entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is a person who is also using a lot of resources, so it becomes imperative for him to ensure that he is maintaining ethics. Entrepreneurs' growth should prioritize ethical consideration like employees follow through fair compensation, pricing ethical competitors, and duty to society towards the environment. Unethical practices in entrepreneurship. Some unethical measures used in entrepreneurship includes taking shortcuts, duplicity, gain approval, misleading and advertising, or creating demand for unnecessary products. That was very well you have seen in the times of COVID, where everyone was selling immunity boosters, though knowing the fact that immunity cannot be boosted in one day. And socially responsible behavior. He is using the resources, so he should be responsible towards the society, the community that they are basically serving. Ethics in psychology. In psychology, which is dealing with the mind, confidentiality, competency, and neutrality and compassion are the very three important elements that needs to be focused. When it comes to confidentiality, psychologists should value and respect the patient's confidentiality. They should keep all the patient's detail confidential and should not disclose to anyone. Psychologists should ensure that they remain competent in the area of their study. Self evaluation and continuing education should be part of their career path. And the last one, neutrality and compassion. Psychologists should remain neutral while delivering their services, focusing on what is best for their patient and not on personal opinions. Journalism, the fourth pillar of the Indian Constitution and very, very important aspect of the society, which should be basically based on objectivity, truthfulness, and accountability. When it comes to objectivity, journalists should report stories factually without any bias or emotional influence. They should be truthful. That means they should only report what is right, tested facts, including relevant information that tells the entire story, should not be hidden. And accountability, journalists are usually required to cite their sources and give credit to different pieces of information which is required, which is part of their ethics. Management, that discipline, that is a multidisciplinary aspect, so it should have transparency, equal treatment to employees, and last but not least, the CSR or the corporate social responsibility. Transparency, because management should adhere to transparency in all the decision making process while communicating to different stakeholders and their as well as their employees. Equal treatment of employees, for creating a very healthy environment you should treat your employees very with equity and with trust. Complete transparency has to be maintained over here. And CSR refers to the obligation of management that has to maintain reasonable standard and does not affect society negatively, which includes environmental friendly and socially responsibleness towards the environment. Ethics in law. Law is something which makes the world move. So, equality before the law, professionalism and confidentiality, and rules and regulation are the three buzzwords for ethics to be followed in law. The legal system recognizes that each person are equal before law, so they have to be treated fairly. Confidentiality, lawyers client relationship has the confidentiality with regard to private circumstances or discussion. Personal opinions of the lawyer does not affect representation. And rules and regulation, that plays a very, very important role in the field of law. has to be adhered and followed while dealing with every client, and which in and the including ethical issues which can arise, like client representation, advertising, and management of client, which can affect the field. And lastly, ethics and humanities. Discrimination and censorship, freedom of expression, and personally responsible are the buzzwords in the field of humanities. You cannot discriminate on people on the basis of change topic like understanding the material and consideration of broader culture. Freedom of expression, we need to express, we need to be free while we're expressing. So humanities studies should include a responsible analysis of different point of views while evaluating the complexity with artistic inclusion within the wider society. And personal responsibility, as a person, as a human, you have to take into consideration or involve the individual's experience, interpretation, speech, and interaction with the artifact. Thus, humanities ethical practice focuses on representing our humanity and the humanity of others. So, this is all for today's session. I hope it has been one of the ways through which you have understood the role of ethics in different domains. Thank you. Till we meet for the next time, keep learning.